Hello all. Before we begin the video, let's discuss CloudFoundation. CloudFoundation is the premier online training platform to help individuals and organizations gain knowledge and skills in the ever-growing cloud computing industry.
So in this case, since the error is already there, the database commit will not happen. So record will not be created until you click on back and then enter the right information. Now after submit, what we are doing? Same thing we are as soon as the as we save or as we create this customer record, what we are doing. We are creating a phone call record. So that's a separate object in S8 called phone call. Where we are. We're getting a phone call record for the sales representative. Okay. So it's sort of a task like as soon as you create a customer. For the sales representative. You create a phone call entry, and the phone call is basically the similar phone call thing. Right? We have an object to track the history of all the phone calls systematically, right? So if we are contacting a sales rep, that will be captured in the system. So it will be created as an entry in S8. So what we are doing in the after submit, as soon as the customer record is created, it is saved. Database commit has happened. After that, after submit will trigger, and we will create a phone call entry for the sales rep. And sales rep information is already there in the customer record. So we'll get the sales rep value from customer records, and we will create a phone call entry for the customer, for the sales rep. Now here, if you see again what we are doing, we got the new record right, and then what we did is we are getting the sales rep field value, if it is available. So we have put it in this if condition. If the sales rep field value is available, record.createAPI. Now, record.createAPI, where record type is phone call, dynamic is true, and then we are setting all the field values on the phone call object. So the title is one field. So you're writing the title assigned, this to assign to the sales rep. Phone is a phone number where phone number field from the customer record, and then we are saving the record for record. Create a record. Create API, which is used for phone call, and phone call is not a transaction. What do you think will be the governance usage? Any API we have in a seat will be using some governance units. So record.create a case of transaction records for units in case of custom records, and 10 units in case of any other record. So phone calls comes in the third category. It comes in the third category, which is any other record. So it will consume 10 minutes here, and similarly record this. We have record.save API also here. So it will consume another 10 units here. So 20 units for one record as soon as the customer is created, and then we'll put this debug here. Log.debug. Call record saved successfully, and we are caught with populating the ID also. So record.save will give what? What does it return? It returns the internal ID of the record. We are putting it in the debug here in case, if there are any errors, we are putting it set at try-catch OK. So now, this is also a best practice. Any codes, any script or any code snippet you work on, it is always advised to put it inside the try-catch. So you should have a proper. So best practice is to put the entire function inside a try-catch. So you put inside an entire logic inside a try, and then put a catch statement in the end. and especially where you know the places where which we can call it as error-prone piece of codes, right? The areas where we understand that there's a higher possibility of error, we put an additional try-catch to only for that piece of code. So record.save is one thing where you will get error in case if we don't put any value correctly, right? So the way it works is when we put record.create, we are setting all the field values. It does not throw any error. It throws an error when you try to save the record. That's how it works, right? And let's say so like if I'm creating a sales order, I enter customer information, sales information, subsidiary, everything I enter, it does not. It is fine, it will, the script will execute, and it will happen as soon as you try to save it. That's when the entire validation and everything happens. And if there is any field value, which is not correct or which is not in the right format, then it will throw an error. So it is always good to put the save part in a separate try-catch block, because you can handle it, and you understand this. You can handle it with a proper log message and everything, and then you capture the error correctly, so that you know this is coming from this particular piece of code. If you can search with the create script to data user event script, right? And then it will give you all the information. Let's say we have entry points and APIs, right? So these are 3 different entry points or 3 different functions, basically. So we have before load, we have before submit and after submit. That's, as I told you already, right? Now you can click on all 3 of them. Let's say I click on before load. Now, before load, it has an entire description what it does, as we already spoke about it, right? And then you have all these different event types, which is create, edit, view, copy, print, email, quick view, and all that, right? And then it shows you what are the parameters. So as I told you, there's only one parameter. So its script context parameter is a JavaScript object, as you mentioned already. Then what it gives us? It gives us the form information, new record, requester information, and type, which is a context type in this new record, because before load is something we will not have an old object schema, right? So it will give us new record. But in case of after submit, it will give us old record and new record both. So let me show you that after submit piece also. What I'm trying to do here is, we will talk this script. So we spoke about this script. Now we will try to create a script record in NetSuite. We'll try to deploy it and test it out first. And then I have a very small assignment, sort of a thing, not a complex thing or something. I have a very small assignment where each function will have hardly 10 lines of code. Yeah, so log dot, as I told you, right? So in the log part, let me put it somewhere here, log.debug. You have log.arrow, log.audit. Okay, so we can utilize all 3 of them based on what you need. Now I'll show that how it looks in NetSuite side right, how debug log. Debug is just for you to keep some debug notes and to understand how the script is going and execution is happening. Error is something you use when you encounter an actual error, and you try to capture that error along with the proper error, information, and everything. And that again, in case of actual NetSuite production instances, right? You can set up that you will receive an error notification also, and over an email it goes to the admin and everybody, mostly only admin. And then audit is something again similar to debug, but if you want to just keep audit check, like instead of entire debug thing you can just put some audit related points, and then you can put logs accordingly. So audit is debug kind of similar, but error is to capture the actual error messages. E is an object to capture the error information. You can call it as E or error or anything, and then the same object will capture the entire error as an object, and then error.name or E.name will give you the actual error information. If you don't want to capture the entire, only the error message, then you can try to pick the entire error object. Then it will give you an entire object structure where you have the error ID, error code, error name, and everything. If you print only error.name, it will print, or it will only put the message in the log, which is the actual error message. Now in record.create. This API is similar to what you're doing on the form, right? Let's say, if I want to create a new customer record, you go to that customer form, you enter all that field information and save it. Correct. That is exactly what we are trying to do using record.create and save. Right now record.create has a parameter called isDynamic. So isDynamic true means, and what it means is it has two values, 2 and 4. And what it means is when you say isDynamic true, you can set field values in any sequence you want, like every object. Let's say sales order right. So the way sales order works is as soon as you open a sales order form, and you enter a customer, and you tab out right. If you enter a customer and tab, go, move to a next field or something, it will track the subsidiary on its own. It will fetch the subsidiary on its own, based on the customer subsidiary. So these are called. You can call it as connected fields or source field. Basically it's a source field, right? So customer, as soon as you select the customer name,
And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.